The jump shot, and we head to the second overtime, tied at 124. Bob Weiss tries to keep his cool, but in the second overtime, after Maurice Cheeks hits this jump shot, it is all New York. First, it's Patrick Ewing with a slam. The Knicks up by 2. Ewing had 9 in the second overtime. And then John Starks nails a three-point bucket to finish off the Hawks with 1:15 left. As the Knicks open up a 5-point lead, they go on to win it by 9 in double overtime. Pat Riley and the Knicks with a 13-4 run in the second overtime. And a sweet 137-128 victory. What a relief for the ball club, and what a way to come back from a loss to Boston. One stat lost in all the excitement of that ball game, Kevin Willis of Atlanta, who recorded a rare double-double with 20 points and 20 rebounds. Up next, Walt Clyde Frazier on the hottest brothers act in the NBA.
Inside with Clyde is brought to you by the Discover Card. It pays to discover, the card that pays you back.
Here's a behind-the-scenes look at the Wilkins brothers as they engaged in a little pre-game hype earlier today at 12 noon. What was the nature of their conversation at Madison Square Garden?
You know, we always talk a little trash to each other. You know, that's mandatory that we do so before and after the game. It's always been that way and always will. Always the younger brother always talk, and you know, it's fun for us. We really enjoy that. You know, and just kind of getting on one another, having fun. That's what it's all about.
Bruce Beck joined by Walt Clyde Frazier. Well, whatever they discussed, they both played extremely well in the first meeting of the year between these two teams.
Yeah, indeed. Dominique with 52 won the battle, but Gerald won the war because he propelled the Knicks into the overtime, and they were able to pull the game out.
Unbelievable stats on the part of both players in that game. They combined for 78 points, and as far as we know, this has got to be an NBA record for brothers. We talked to the NBA. They don't even keep stats in this department, but you have to believe, Clyde, that this is a record. Now, they are currently in second place in the all-time annals of the NBA, behind only Tom and Dick Van Arsdale as far as the scoring is concerned.
Yeah,
so they're making progress.
Yeah, that's just a matter of time because Dominique now in his 10th season, Gerald only in his 6th, so I'm sure they will surpass that record.
So we're looking forward tonight to seeing Dominique Wilkins and Gerald Wilkins at Madison Square Garden. Coming up next, MSG Sports Desk with the Bullet Bob Page. And then we'll be back with the call, the Knicks and the Hawks.
Video Queen.
This video isn't a porno by any means. You know, it's not dirty. It's just a, you know, beautiful work of art. It's just me dancing around in a variety of sets, being happy, showing lots of personality and naked.
Giselle started out on the pages of Penthouse. Now she's a pet that moves. Isn't that more scandalous?
I could care less.
Now, don't go looking for a plot in these videos. That would be like reading Penthouse or Playboy for the articles. But who knows? From now on, Mom might be finding sexy videos instead of magazines hidden under the bed. Either way, the race is on.
So I guess the moral here is it's really hard to sell those rocket scientist videos, but...
Or this. Or this. Not everyone can. Fortunately, basketball scholarships aren't the only way to pay for college. The 9X Yellow Pages and the New York Knicks are awarding thousands of dollars in scholarship money. It's for high school seniors dedicated to helping their community. Looks like community service just got even more rewarding.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Page back in our MSG Sports Desk studios. And yes, he has re-injured an ankle, but that's not why Derek Coleman missed last night's Nets victory over the LA Clippers. It turns out that the Nets actually made Coleman sit the game out and fined him an undisclosed amount because he missed a doctor's appointment and shoot-around yesterday. Said Bill Fitch, and I quote, "He was a bad boy. He got spanked. He'll be back in the fold tomorrow," end quote. While the Nets have been disappointed in Coleman's whining all year long, they couldn't be more pleased by the play of Drazen Petrovic. Petro, not Coleman, is the Nets' leading scorer at 20 points a game and the third leading three-point shooter in the NBA. The 6'5" Croatian was stolen from Portland in trade, where he played behind Clyde Drexler.
I knew when I came in Poland, that Clyde is going to play all the minutes, and I knew I need to find some place where I need to be in better situation. If I keep playing well, I can get my chance. So I think this is a good team for me, young, and we're going to be better every year. And finally, I'm earning a little bit of respect around the league, and that's what I'm looking for.
For Iona star center Jeff Ruland is back in the NBA. The Sixers signed him to a contract yesterday, and they introduced him to the Philadelphia media today. Ruland, shown here playing against ex-St. John standout Jason Williams, has not played in the NBA in 5 years since tearing up a knee. Why can he come back now?
It's not like I'm ancient. I just turned 33. I'm in probably better shape now than I was when I was 27, so, if I was 39 or 40, then it'd be a different story. But like I said, it's only 20 minutes a game. It's not 40 or 45. So when I came into the league, people told me I'd be lucky if I was a backup center. So once again, we'll prove them wrong.
Meanwhile, Ruland's new teammate Charles Barkley was in Milwaukee today meeting with the DA about assault charges filed against Barkley. Bucks forward Larry Kristoviak even accompanied him as a character witness.
I hope everything works out. I just have to deal with what happened. If they issue a charge, I have to deal with it. If they don't issue a charge, that'll be great. But I feel like I was in the right that night. And I want to thank Larry for coming out today. I want to thank the people who have in Milwaukee who have been very supportive. I don't think one action of one guy should detract from the city of Milwaukee. It's a good city.
If you missed it from last night, the Celtics have had to place Larry Bird on the injured list. He will miss from 5 games to 10 days, a minimum of either one of those, with his latest back problems, including 2 games against the Knicks, Wednesday night and Saturday night. Miami Heat say star rookie Steve Smith will be out the next 2 to 3 weeks, possibly even 3 to 4 after undergoing arthroscopic knee surgery today. And one-time Knicks guard Gerald Henderson was waived today by the Houston Rockets. Now stay tuned as the Knicks host the Atlanta Hawks next, right here on MSG.
There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, and with Alamo, all those miles are free.
They won Atlanta on a night that Dominique was dominating with 52 points. But when it was over, those points were wasted. For in the second overtime, the Hawks ran out of fuel when the Knicks had plenty left. The Hawks and the Knicks do it again next. Overtime, anyone?
The other night and really did a humongous job. He was very strong with that fall-away jump shot. That's where he hurts people the most. Closing moments of the overtime, he sent back KJ's shot, saved the game. And when the Knicks needed big points, there was Patrick in that lower left position, hitting his shots. And there were many of them in many minutes of play. Patrick was acknowledged as the NBA Player of the Week last week in 3 games, averaging close to 28 a game. 15 rebounds during those 3 games as an average, and almost 3 blocked shots. Big performance, and the NBA is such that here we are again, and everybody wants to see it once more.
It's been a long time since Patrick put up a monster number in the point column. As a matter of fact, it hasn't been since the Knicks took the Hawks to double overtime when he had 43, only to fall to second place in that game to Dominique Wilkins, 52. From a scoring standpoint, he just continues to roll.
Yes, he does. He doesn't show any signs of weakness, Al. Dominique Wilkins is now the number 2 scorer in the NBA behind Michael Jordan, and he has been on a roll ever since the Knicks saw him last. And when they did see him, he had a series of moves for his brother that wouldn't stop. Gerald Wilkins knows his game inside out, but he couldn't stop him on that move. And Dominique, of course, his greatness is that he can operate with the ball on the floor as well. And he saved one in the closing seconds of the game to put that game into overtime with an incredible move. Dominique was invincible in that game. 17 out of 30 from the field, 52 points, 16 out of 18 from the line. He draws fouls like crazy. Also 5 rebounds. That was the most points, by the way, against the Knicks team since 1986 when Michael Jordan had 50.
You've been busy working the stat sheets again. All right, we're all set for the Hawks and the Knicks, and we'll bring you back to Madison Square Garden for the start of this one and the lineups. Stay with us.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Tonight's game features the Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks. Here at tonight's starting lineup, first for Atlanta, at guard at 6'8" from UNLV, number 2, Stacey Augmon. At guard at 6'4" from Long Beach State, number 11, Moreland Wiley. At forward at 6'8" from Georgia, number 21, Dominique Wilkins. At forward at 7 feet from Michigan State, number 42, Kevin Willis. And at center at 7 feet from Oregon, number 41, Blair Rasmussen. The trainer is Joe O'Toole. The assistant coaches Bob Weinauer and Johnny Davis. And the head coach, Bob Weiss. And now, please welcome your New York Knicks. At guard at 6'3" from St. John's, number 13, Mark Jackson. At guard at 6'6" from Tennessee, Chattanooga, number 21, Gerald Wilkins. At forward at 6'6" from Wichita State, number 32, Xavier McDaniel. At forward at 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, Charles Oakley. And at center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, Patrick Ewing. The assistant trainer is Tim Walsh. The head trainer, Mike Saunders. Assistant coaches, Dick Harder, Paul Silas, and Jeff Van Gundy. And the head coach for the Knicks, Pat Riley.
Well, in Atlanta, Pat Riley saw 5 Knicks go out to try and defend Dominique Wilkins. He scored 52 points. Tonight, a different game, a different philosophy, perhaps. Shortly before tonight's game, we asked Pat Riley, how's he going to stop Neek?
We don't normally like to break our defense down and do a lot of double teaming because that just puts you in even more problems. So, we play guys straight up, and, if Dominique's going to get 52 and we can win, then that's fine. But we have to contain him a little better than we did the last time.
John, it's the old story. Do you switch everything around and try to slow down a guy, or do you just let him get his 50, knowing that he's going to get a ton of points anyway, and concentrate on the other 4 players on the floor?
Well, he's averaging 29, so if you can keep him to his average, that's not bad. And Mr. Charming just gives Oakley a little shot there, kidding around. He's a terrific guy. Everybody likes this man. He's so skilled, but I think the Knicks would be happy to hold him to his average, quite frankly. Forget 50. I mean, that was a rare night. He was unbelievable that night.
The Hawks 5-9 on the road. The Knicks, meanwhile, 13-2 here at Madison Square Garden. And we'll tip it up again. Mike Mathis, Terry Durham, Bernie Fryer, assigned by the NBA as officials in tonight's game. Ewing gets the tip from Kevin Willis, and the Hawks and Knicks begin their journey into the first quarter. Xavier McDaniel with the game winner with 20 seconds in overtime, and that pass is stolen by Atlanta. In the backcourt, Moreland Wiley. What an interesting story of how they had to finally get him to sign a deal when originally they were only going to use him for 3 games. And Blair Rasmussen, who's a great outside shooter from about 18 feet in, gives the Hawks the lead 2-0.
And he is 7 feet tall, so he's got to have the hand in his face.
Dominique hits the boards for the rebound off the Gerald Wilkins miss. So one brother bounces to another. Xavier McDaniel guarding Dominique. Gerald Wilkins on Stacey Augmon. Patrick Ewing on Blair Rasmussen. Oakley on Kevin Willis.
Atlanta will isolate Dominique as much as possible. He can beat anyone one-on-one.
This time Rasmussen's off target. McDaniel lost his footing, gets it for Jackson. Oakley's been hitting these. Now this time it's a Hawk rebound. Dominique makes you think he's going in and stays outside.
Nicely played by McDaniel. He was on him at the right moment.
Jackson for X-Man. Another Hawk rebound for Kevin Willis, who has been piling them up this season.
An amazing turnaround in his career because of his rebounding. Number 2 now, barely number 2, to Dennis Rodman of Detroit, over 16 rebounds a game.
Blair Rasmussen is now 2 for 3, all from the outside. I mean, he does not ever drive to the hoop, or rarely. It is 4-0 Atlanta.
Ewing just comes down and sinks his shoulder into Rasmussen to get the position he wants.
Finally, the Knicks get a hoop. Took almost 2 minutes. It's 4-2 Hawks. Maurice Cheeks not with Atlanta, missing his 3rd straight game with a strained rib cage. Xavier with the rebound. Wilkins on the run. Cuts away. Lays it off for Patrick. Finger roll.
How nicely Ewing adjusted when he realized he couldn't stuff the ball.
That's athleticism. I think he was thinking dunk when he first went up. 9.5 to go in the first. Tied at 4. Warren Wiley out there for defense. 1 point, 14 assists. And the win over Houston, the last game for Atlanta. And Kevin Willis with the turnaround.
Yes, that was last night, and Wiley made quite an impression.
McDaniel jukes, thought hook shot, blows it up outside. Now he's open. Rasmussen tries to recover, and it was up and down.
Nice defensive play, denied Xavier that jump shot, and he came down with the ball after he had gone up.
To give you an idea of who's doing what for Atlanta, they beat Houston 109-97. Dominique had his 27. Willis had 20 points, 15 rebounds. Stacey Augmon had 16. Wayne Farrell off the bench for 15. And Blair Rasmussen, 14 points, 10 rebounds. Hakeem Olajuwon did play. Dominique blocked inside. Knicks try to move it up on the transition. Ewing.
Now that's a fast break you rarely see. Wow, the power forward, the number 4 man, Oakley, successfully carrying that ball forward, then giving it up to the biggest man, Patrick Ewing, and it worked nicely.
The 22nd timeout. Patrick Ewing has all 6 of the Knicks points. Knicks with a roster move today. Patrick Eddy put on the injured list with a strained back. Tim McCormick reactivated after a long stint on the injured list. You know, the feeling was, John, for Patrick Ewing at least, Patrick Eddy was a bit of a better player for practice sake because McCormick frequently couldn't practice because of his bad knee. But I guess with Patrick scaling back his practice efforts a little bit with his knee ailing him, it's not as important.
Yes, reports are that Patrick Ewing has some tenderness in the knees. That's not really new. He is playing intensely now, playing a lot of minutes, and he just has to be a little careful, but there's no major problem there.
McCormick's last team, of course, was Atlanta, tonight's opponent.
Good help by the Knicks, converging on the cutting Dominique Wilkins. And how about Charles Oakley? 3 dribbles, 4 dribbles, handling the ball well. And there's Patrick Ewing hesitating and then going up for the nice soft jump shot. That was beautifully done.
I think it was a no-look pass from Oakley, too. 3 dribbles and a no-look pass. Jackson up the floor, left wing McDaniel cuts away from Wilkins. Mark Jackson must pursue and does.
Knicks are learning something quickly, that they better get up on Rasmussen. Ewing, there he is in that lower left position where he has been hiding. Last game in this, excuse me, Al, but he hasn't been there in recent games until the other day.
It is Atlanta 8, Patrick Ewing 8. Stacey Augmon way off. Ewing was leading the break. Gerald Wilkins didn't see it. Now Mark Jackson does. And Ewing's first miss. And a foul on Moreland Wiley. Xavier McDaniel and he were chasing the ball down on the end line. His first.
The message here, Al, the way we see it, is that if the Knicks are a little patient, not exceedingly so, they will get very wide open shots. Hawks played last night. It could be a little tired.
Patrick Ewing over Rasmussen now has missed 2 in a row after hitting 4 straight. Wiley for the trailer Wilkins. Wide open is Willis. Now these big guys in Atlanta, at least the 2 that are on the floor now, can shoot.
It shouldn't happen where men are as wide open as Kevin Willis and Ewing, for that matter, have been the last couple of times.
Wilkins uses a low pick, draws out Rasmussen. That leaves Ewing down low, guarded by Augmon. 6 on the 24. Wilkins hits. That is a 3-pointer for Gerald Wilkins. Knick lead 11-10. That is the first Knick to score other than Patrick Ewing.
Gerald was 2 for 2 the other day against the Phoenix Suns from three-point range.
And a foul. One Wilkins on the other. There'll be a timeout here at the Garden. 6:35 to go. 11-10 Knicks.
Jackson guarded by Isolino. Pretty spin.
Whatever game you're into, stop by Goldman Brothers. We know baseball. We know basketball. We know lacrosse. Goldman Brothers has...
Mark Jackson enjoying fatherhood. He's averaging 16 points, 9 assists a game since his baby was born. And we have a very special look at Mark Action Jackson II. Already well adorned.
Caught in mid-stride, too. I can see where the action the second comes from.
Mark seems to feel Mark looks like his wife Desiree. That, of course, will be determined at a future date. And remember, Mark Jr., no helicopters. 6:25 to go in the opening quarter. Knicks a 1-point lead, and that is erased by that slick move by Stacey Augmon.
Stacey Augmon was invisible on offense the first time they met on December 7th. 2 for 5 in 30 minutes, 6 points, but he's changed his ways since then.
Jackson threw 3 defenders, and then just before he was going to ditch an outlet, it is stolen. And Marlon Wiley goes the distance of the floor to make it 14-11 Atlanta.
Xavier took 2 or 3 steps and went unnoticed.
McDaniel inside for Ewing. Triple team stolen again. This is twice now. A collapsing Atlanta defense has led to a point on the break, and this time they get a bonus of a foul.
Beautifully done by Stacey Augmon. Patrick puts that ball down. Augmon comes in to bother him. Continues up court, then goes airborne. Augmon is 6'8" from UNLV. People certainly remember him there, but he's coming on strong lately, and he makes the three-point play.
Augmon, the number 9 pick. He can run. He's a great defensive stopper, but as John alluded, the points have not been piling up. He has had a 23-point game this season, though. Jackson fakes Wiley, and beautifully so. McDaniel finds wide open spaces.
It's amazing, with some patience, the Knicks are getting very easy open shots.
Dominique Wilkins, scoreless so far. Oakley battling and pushing Kevin Willis. On the outside as the Hawks try to set him up down low. Augmon pops up, tries to force feed the pass inside to Willis. And it will be Hawk ball with 8 seconds remaining on the 24-second clock.
Oakley with great effort on that deflection. You see Kevin Willis has size. He's a 7-footer.
Dominique for Willis popping out. Oakley's with him. Wilkins on his brother, X-Man. This time on Augmon. Had a great fake. Looked like it could have been a walk. Knicks on the move. Gerald Wilkins with Rasmussen back. Fakes it and drops it in.
Little deception on the end of that move was beautiful.
Dominique tangled up and fouled. Still looking for his first point.
You see, the Knicks will double team Dominique, but not until he starts to move. If you do it initially, then he beats 2 people and leaves them in the dust. But once he starts to move, should he get by his man, then the other Knicks, very sensitive, comes in to try and bother him. However, he's so great, he can draw the foul, as he just did.
Ramil Robinson checking into the game after missing one, hitting a Doc Rivers elbow in the mouth and injuring a tooth to the point where they had to deaden the nerve. He's back in the game for Atlanta. This all necessitated the signing of Marlon Wiley. You had Maurice Cheeks out, Ramil Robinson with the injured tooth, and an important deadline approaching in the NBA. The Hawks had a dilemma. Any player who was on the roster after Thursday would have to be paid. So what the Hawks did was release Gary Leonard and sign Marlon Wiley for the rest of the year after telling him, and he agreed, that he would only be with the Hawks for 3 days.
This was to have been his last game. Wiley has had an amazing season. He played in 12 NBA games, 9 with Orlando when we saw him down there, 3 with San Antonio. Then he went to the CBA with the Rapid City Thrillers and was called up for this brief appearance and ended up with a contract the rest of the way today. 14 assists last night certainly helped.
Ramil Robinson still adjusting to being the point guard on this Hawk team. That was not his position or normal position in college. Ewing on the rebound, Hawks on the miss. Atlanta leads it by 4. 3:45 to go in the first. Ramil Robinson on Gerald Wilkins. Height advantage to Gerald. He looks outside for Jackson. Draws 2. Dishes it for Ewing. Rejected by Kevin Willis. And a big erasure. And Ramil Robinson misses on the dunk. Up block on Willis. Bobby Weiss is furious. Oakley's pass. Out of bounds. New York ball. What an exchange.
Boy, if the officials took note of Bobby Weiss, he mightn't have gotten a technical foul on him. Jackson crashing down the middle. Fortunately, Ewing right there. Sent back by Kevin Willis. Break at the other end. Robinson denied on his move.
Oakley has it ripped from his hands by Willis. Hawks on the break. Kevin Willis misses the layup. Ewing has the rebound slapped away. Gerald Wilkins steals it from Dominique. Gerald. Followed by Xavier McDaniel. Long three-pointer missed by Dominique. Ewing. Now the rim, after the Xavier dunk, did not reset itself. And McDaniel undoes the damage.
Well, it shows you that Patrick was thinking about shooting because he looked right at that rim and thought, something's not right here, Al.
It has been corrected with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Now here's how Xavier did what he did.
Yes. In order not to come down on a teammate, he hung there a bit.
It's a low-scoring affair so far here at MSG. Gerald Wilkins from down low. And an offensive foul charged to Wilkins as he ran into Blair Rasmussen. There is a timeout on the floor. Atlanta 19, Knicks 17.
Boston. Yes, Larry Bird didn't play here when the Knicks played them. Had a win. The story out of Boston, today's Globe, Bird sidelined but diagnosis good. Dave Gavitt quoted as saying he's optimistic he'll be back soon. That's the feeling.
Our sources are different now. We heard today from sources in Boston that Larry Bird will be out for 1 or 2 months and that the injury is more serious than revealed. He hurt himself in practice, same area, but not related to the injury of last summer. And the feeling is certainly he's now on the injured list. He's going to miss another 4 games. He's going through the same treatment as last time, anti-inflammatory medicine. No MRI for Larry now because the back is so inflamed. Not good news, but the feeling is he'll be out another 1 to 2 months. And Bird has been quoted as saying if he has to have another operation, similar to what he did last summer, he will retire. Very heavy news and not happy news at all for basketball.
Could you imagine, for distinctly different reasons, the NBA losing Larry Bird and Magic Johnson both in the same season? Awful. Well, we'll get a little bit more on that story tomorrow, and of course we'll have it for you as we bring you the Knicks and the Celtics tomorrow night. As for tonight, it is a 21-17 Atlanta lead with just over 90 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. It's been a bit of a slippery basketball in the last couple of minutes. John Starks is off the bench, and he throws up an air ball. 5 seconds to go on the 24. Starks goes for it again. He almost put up 2 air balls. That one didn't make it by much. Well, Starks, who was one of the heroes in Sunday's game with Phoenix, off the bench for Pat Riley. John Koncak checking into the game. Greg Anthony checking in. Anthony Mason replacing Patrick Ewing. Paul Graham has also been in for Atlanta. I don't think that I mentioned that. So, Anthony Mason will guard Kevin Willis. John Starks on Paul Graham. Oakley on Koncak. Anthony on Ramil Roberts. Kevin Willis with a rainbow. Pulled down by Mason. 1 minute to go. McDaniel starts wide open. This time he's got.
How's that for confidence? A lot of players would have passed up that shot after missing the first two.
There's some precedence for that, though, John. I mean, he's come into a few games in recent memory. 1 for 6, 2 for 8. Oh, man.
Paul Graham, an unknown who has become big in the NBA.
Paul Graham, a USBL All-Star signed by Atlanta. And he put a beautiful kiss off the glass that time up the floor. McDaniel is open. Follows his own shot. Starts off his shins and out of bounds. With 20.9 to go, it will be Hawks ball.
Paul Graham is 6'6" tall, an in-between size for the NBA. He's not a guard. He's not certainly a power forward. He's kind of in between a shooting guard, and a small forward. He's making it work.
Dwayne Farrell, the nice touch over the outstretched hand of McDaniel. 3.5 for the Knicks to put one up. Make it 1.4 for the Knicks to put one up. Dominique Wilkins, a quiet first quarter to say the least. 0 for 2 from the floor, 2 free throws for 2 points. Oakley with the fake. And the bank that's off. That'll do it for the first quarter here at the Garden. Atlanta, without the scoring exploits of Dominique, lead by 6.
Colors to select.
A real winner knows how to party right. Please use good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Well, John, in stark contrast to Sunday's game in which the officials blew a very tight game, I thought. The officials have been letting them play tonight. Only 1 foul against the Hawks. That's Marlon Wiley. Meanwhile, the Knicks did not have anyone with 2 other than Gerald. Patrick has 1. Oakley with 1. McDaniel 1. The Knicks have not been to the free throw line. Atlanta's been there for 3. And as you saw, Kiki Vandeweghe with a rare appearance checks in for the Knicks.
Hasn't played in the last 4 games. This is a wide open game that the Atlanta Hawks bring to Madison Square Garden, so both teams are playing very much that style.
Wayne Farrell outside for Konkak. He's not an offensive force. Ramil Robinson inside for Augment, and he is hammered by Vandeweghe and Ewing. Atlanta keeps it with 6 on the 24.
It seemed to me he's hopped, skipped, and jumped on the way to the basket without a dribble. In other words, he traveled down, according to my eyes.
I somehow deduced that from the way you phrased it. John Konkak bangs one off the glass. No touch there. Stacey Augment gets the friendly bounce. 27-19. It is the Atlanta Hawks by 8. Starks bouncing out, and he traveled on that long stride with the first step.
Why not? He's been seeing everybody else get away with it.
There's 8 turnovers now for the Knicks, who have done such a good job this season of keeping that number, which plagued them so much last year, down to a very manageable number.
Only 14 the other night against Phoenix.
Konkak draws Ewing outside. Vandeweghe does well to stay with Augment. He draws 2, drops it off, and Paul Graham launches it beautifully.
Lovely, soft shot made by Graham to look easy.
Atlanta by 10, their biggest lead.
Anthony had to shoot. Ramil Robinson was daring him. He was ignoring him.
Anthony's been struggling, shooting in his last few games at around 20%. Makes that one. It's 29-21, and now the Knicks have the ball.
Nice play by Greg Anthony, smacking that ball off Robinson's leg. Knicks need a lift. You know, I get the feeling that there's some residue fatigue left over from Sunday. Bench will be very important.
Mason tried to set the pick. Anthony waved him off. Starks pops out. So does Vandeweghe. Does he have the touch? He'll get another chance. Went straight on, then went glass. Kiki dove for 2. very active with the basketball in the game so far. Ramil Robinson guarded by Anthony. Farrell with Mason on him. They bang bodies. Contact. I don't think that's a shot the Hawks want to see a lot of.
Nice hustle by Anthony sweeping the boards.
Knicks working around the perimeter. Kiki for Ewing. Around it again. Starks. Well short. It was a two-point attempt. Atlanta's running again. Paul Graham is hammered. Starks and Anthony were over there, but Bobby Rice, I can't blame him. Why no foul? I can't believe there wasn't any type of a call. 20-second timeout. It is a 10-point lead for Atlanta once again. Bobby Rice was very agitated at the lack of a call, but the Hawks did get two.
Take another look at that last play. Robinson giving it up. That guy was rocked. But it all worked out as the Hawks got their 2 points. Take another look at it now. Different angle.
He got it from both of the Knicks there.
Hey, Paul, no one knows you in the NBA. That's what happens.
Program authorized by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event without the express written consent of MSG Productions Incorporated is prohibited. But then you knew that. Patrick Ewing pops way outside. In a run that extends back into the first quarter, the Hawks have been on a 10-2 streak. Bad pass by Mason.
Now that is a telegraphed pass.
Blair Rasmussen checks back into the game. Contact leaves. Paul Graham out. Dominique also back in. Stand away for Anthony. Anthony uses the Ewing pick. Starks dropped the ball. And a loose ball foul. I believe it'll be against Stacey Augmon.
Nice recovery by Starks, however. One thing to make a mistake, which everyone does, then to have the quickness to rectify that and get it back is something else.
Fresh 24 for the Knicks. Anthony, nice crossover. Mason worked that play well with Anthony, just couldn't hit the shot. Augmon cross-court Rasmussen. That is 3 from long distance for Blair Rasmussen. He's 4 for 6 with 8 points to pace Atlanta.
That was some pass by Augmon, who was looking out toward half court and dished it off to the corner.
Ewing looks for help. Starks. Vandeweghe. Mason. I think he hit the underside of the backboard. Things not going well for the Knicks. They trail by 12. It should have been 14. Dwayne Farrell missed the dunk. Starks beyond the stripe. He's a little soft on the touch. He was long on his first 2 shots. Seemed to adjust. Now he may have over-adjusted. Coming up well short. Wiley for Dominique. And he still has not hit from the field. Dwayne Farrell called on the loose ball foul. Harold Wilkins back in for the Knicks. John Starks will sit. Starks leaves 1 for 5 and obviously displeased.
Well, the Knicks are a team struggling to find some kind of offensive identity now, and they haven't located it yet.
They haven't been able to set up much with Patrick Ewing other than a couple of turnarounds earlier in the game. Kiki Vandeweghe, finger roll, a beauty.
Well, that was a set play for Kiki, and it worked with a beautiful move by him at the end.
Mason, with his quickness, doing a good job of getting back. Still will be Atlanta ball with 7:39 to go in the half. Hawks leading by 10. Augmon, the number 9 pick in the draft out of UNLV for Dominique. Kevin Willis back into the game for Atlanta, guarded by Mason, and they clear it out for him. Now it's Augmon guarded by Vandeweghe. Pulled down by Willis. The rebound monster is fouled as he went back up.
Very difficult
difficult to box Willis out. Not that the Knicks are trying to that much, because they just don't do it enough. But Willis has such quickness at 7 feet tall. It demands that you establish physical contact with him.
As you can see, he did it to the Knicks in the previous game this season. He already has 7 rebounds. Made a lot of news with his 31 rebound game in December against Dallas. He has had 27 double-doubles on the season. Over the last 22 games, is averaging 18 points and 18 rebounds a game. Kevin Willis, a season to remember.
And in that 20 rebound total he had against the Knicks, 8 of them were on the offensive boards. He just collected one on the offensive boards. He turns those into points.
Knicks looking for a hot hand. Greg Anthony. All net. 10-point lead for Atlanta once again, and they push it up. Marlon Wiley spinning for Dominique. Dominique hits his first field goal of the game. He has 4.
Now, he had 18 of his 52 against the Knicks in the first half in Atlanta, so he's off to a slow start, and the Knicks aren't able to capitalize.
Gerald Wilkins hits metal on the 3-point attempt, and Atlanta's almost 3 on 0. Dominique. Backcourt totally exposed. Backcourt of the Knicks wasn't protecting at all. And that is the push of the button for Pat Riley. When he sees something like that, it's time for a TO. That's what happened. 39-25 Hawks.
Well, the Knicks have been flat, and with 6:28 to go, they trail by 14 with lots to talk about.
Well, in situations like this, you naturally think the Knicks have to go to their defense. And that is what rescues you night in and night out. And frankly, they're not playing defense well enough. And Pat Riley and his team certainly know that right now, because the score is getting away from them. So they've got to dig in on the defensive end if they're not hitting their shots, or until they start hitting them, and continue playing that way. But they're lackluster at both ends now.
Pat Riley goes to the starters, except for Mason, who's in for Oakley. Wilkins for Ewing. On the outside, and from 15 feet, Patrick Ewing has 10. Leading the Knicks scorers by far. 6:05 to go. The Knicks down by 12. Dominique looking very active, and inside for Kevin Willis with a monster.
Patrick Ewing's thinking double team, and Willis got around him. To the credit of the Hawks, they distributed that ball to him, Willis, at the right moment.
Ewing draws the double. Gets the kick out for Jackson. Drives and just doesn't get the roll. Gets his own rebound and launches it up. Well, that was one rebound Mark never expected to see. And Nick Ball. Atlanta ball. Now it is all starters on the floor for the Knicks, as Oakley replaces Anthony Mason. Dominique off the mark. Jackson for Gerald Wilkins. Stacey Augmon actually completed the steal, and then trying to get the ball back. Gerald Wilkins fouled him.
Well, the problem was that Gerald presented the ball without protecting it, enabling Augman's 6'8" arms to get in there. He just put it right out in front of him.
That's the 3rd foul on Gerald, and he is immediately yanked in favor of John Starks. Rasmussen always outside. Ewing stays with him. Dominique with 5 on the 24. Fouled by Xavier McDaniel.
Starks is playing Augman very physically down low. Starks can play a very physical game, and he's operating against a guy 4 inches taller.
Starks is called on the foul. He gets the rebound, and then as he tries to launch it up, gets it to Kevin Willis. He is a big figure to launch it over. 43-27, Atlanta by 16. McDaniel. Points for McDaniel. So McDaniel and Dominique canceling each other out, and a travel underneath. Dominique Wilkins called for traveling with 4:21 to go. The Knicks try to move the Atlanta lead below 14. McDaniel to make it 2 in a row.
Set play for McDaniel. He's feeling the touch.
43-31. The crowd picks up the chant that echoed in the Garden so loudly on Sunday down the stretch of the fourth quarter.
Knicks have gone into physical intensity.
Starks tried to draw the offensive foul, got no call. 2 points for Stacey Augmon. He has 9. Well-balanced scoring for Atlanta. And Dominique Wilkins fouls Xavier McDaniel. That is the first foul on Dominique. This, of course, going to press 24 on the inbound.
Dominique has not fouled much.
Jackson for Starks. Out for Ewing. Quickly, there's a swarm of Hawks there. For 3 is John Starks. McDaniel the rebound. Draws the fake and goes to reverse. Knicks within 12.
X-Man to the rescue in the last few minutes.
3 quick hooks for Xavier. Now the Knicks seem to be picking up the defensive intensity and being a little overzealous. McDaniel called for the foul. That is his second.
Well, sometimes it takes a team a while to get into it. Unfortunately, the Knicks were down 16, but they seem to be into it now.
McDaniel's played well. 10 points, 6 rebounds. Kevin Willis way outside. Oakley right in his face. Moreland Wiley. That's not his game. Mark Jackson. 3 on 2. Takes it straight down. Starks. Flips it up. Knicks within 10. Augmon goes the distance. Almost walked. Fans thought he did. Dominique.
I'll tell you, Dominique walked and from his stationary position. He moved those feet so many times it appeared.
Patrick Ewing short on the turnaround. Xavier McDaniel up there again.
What's great about that was Xavier went up to tap it just to keep it alive. He couldn't control it to put it in, but he just kept it up there alive, and then he got the benefit of that exercise. Got another shot at it.
Well, McDaniel's doing a great job in shooting and in rebounding. Right now, he is trying to save the Knicks single-handed.
These are the names we all remember so well. And up until today, the only men who have been honored by the Knicks in retiring their numbers have been those who played or coached in the championship years of 1970 and 73. On March 14th, it's all going to change when Dick McGuire's number 15 will be retired by the Knicks. This announced at a press conference earlier tonight at Madison Square Garden by Knicks president Dave Checkins.
Dick is still talking, by the way.
Why not? 35 years with the Knicks.
Once you got that mic, Al.
Drafted out of St. John's in 1949. Set an assist record in one season that lasted until Mark Jackson broke it in 1988.
Ewing with a big, big rebound. Knicks trying to make it happen here. Oakley puts it out for X-Man. Draws Rasmussen. And the Hawks look to get it back. Willis all alone, fouled by Oakley.
Well, Oakley's effort saved the Shore 2 points.
Second foul on Charles Oakley.
Nice look to Willis, who gets semi-mugged by Charles.
Semi? What's a full mug?
Oh, Willis didn't come up angry. He took it like a man.
Knicks still have not been to the free throw line. This will be Atlanta's 6th attempt, and they are perfect. 6 for 6 for Kevin Willis. He's almost at a double-double, and we're approaching halftime. He's got 11 points and 7 rebounds.
Speaking about Willis, 6 for 6 himself last night from the line against Houston. Part of his 20-point, 15-rebound effort.
Mark Jackson moves it up, guarded by Moreland Wiley. Wiley cut by 2 NBA teams. Seems to have finally found a place in Atlanta. Ewing travels. And it was almost with an anger that he slammed that ball in.
just dragged that pivot foot a little off the ground, and it was caught by the officials, but it was a beautiful move.
Knicks have worked so hard, but really all they have to show for it is 4 points. Atlanta's biggest lead was 16. Now it's 12. Starks called on the foul. It's his second. So far, Starks off to a slow start. 2 of 7. 4 points. 2 fouls. They'll send Paul Graham to the line. I mentioned the USBL. His senior year at Ohio, he had 22 points a game, led that team in scoring, so you know the guy can shoot. This year he's had a 23-point game, and that led the Hawks in scoring against Cleveland in December.
His story is similar to the guy we saw the other night in Washington, Larry Stewart, an undrafted rookie free agent who's averaging 14.7 rebounds for the Bullets. Paul Graham is an amazing story. He's confounded the experts.
McDaniel for Starks. 13 on the shot clock. Ewing launches it up, fouled on the release. It doesn't drop. So the Knicks will journey to the free throw line for the first time in the half, and there's exactly 1 minute to go before halftime.
Just to finish the Paul Graham story, he's playing 19 minutes a game and averaging 9 points a game for the Hawks.
After Ewing off the mark from the line, he certainly had a problem there Sunday, but when he needed to hit 2 free throws for the Knicks in the closing seconds of regulation, he delivered. 1 of 2. It is 50-38. Atlanta by 12. Ewing with 11 points, 5 of 9 from the floor. 8 of those 11 coming in the first quarter. Paul Graham, the man we've been speaking about, dishes it off. Atlanta moves it around. Moreland Wiley.
Boy, Doakley working on Willis.
6 on the 24. Willis spins. An awkward shot that almost dropped. And Starks, having an off first half, lost it, and the Hawks capitalize. It is 52-38.
Example of Graham's skills exhibited on that move. Protects the ball and makes the shot off the backboard against the bigger guy.
Mark Jackson couldn't get it to fall. Knicks with a fresh 24. They could play it for 1, and they will. Just tenths of a second separating the shot and game clocks. Jackson for Starks. Thought about a 3, and it's almost stolen. Jackson with 4. Ewing falling away. What an out-of-control conclusion to the first half for the Knicks. The fans not liking what they see, and I'm sure the Knicks and Pat Riley aren't happy either. Coming up at the half, Bob Page is at the MSG Sports Desk, and then Bruce Beck will be joined by Walt Frazier with all the leading scorers, highlights, and more. That's halftime straight ahead with the score. Atlanta 52, the Knicks 39,
and Dominique Wilkins with 8, along with Blair and Rasmussen, who was 4 for 6 from the field. For the New York Knicks, Xavier McDaniel tried to trigger some excitement, ended up with 12 points, did get the team going for a little bit. Patrick Ewing had 11, and not much else after that, not much from the Knicks bench. Bruce Beck rejoined with Walt Frazier, and Walt, it was a lethargic Knick ball club in that first half of play.
Yeah, and what they had, Bruce, was a lot of sputtering and misfiring. They were incompetent on the offense, only 38%. So, of course, when you're shooting that poorly, you're vulnerable to transition. The Hawks did an excellent job burning them in transition.
And the Hawks played solid defense in that first half of play. Let's take a look at the halftime highlights, which are brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series. Well, Clyde, here's the fast break, and it really ends up 3-on-none for the Atlanta Hawks.
This is, as we speak, Gerald misfiring. The Hawks coming up with the loose ball. In transition, Dominique with the unique stuff. So that's where the Knicks were behind, folks. They're not getting back.
Some unknown players, including Moreland Wiley, contributed big time for the Hawks.
Yeah, that are deft hands of Wiley. This man only signed, been with the Hawks 1 game, but he knows how to go go to the hoop as well. So a good pass by Dominique.
Knicks were down by as many as 16 points, rallied back. McDaniel made some field goals, and Jackson made a pretty pass here to start.
Yeah, this was a rare occurrence for the Knicks, getting some action in transition. There, Wiley misfiring, the Knicks swarming for the ball. Jackson will do a good job in penetrating, so the Hawks must respect his transition. He will find Starks off the left side.
And finally, Patrick Ewing, who did not do much offensively in that first half of play. Here he is on the fast break, and again, it's off the Knicks defense.
Yeah, Ewing was doing early on when he had 8 points, but since then, Rasmussen has done a nice job against Patrick. This time, the Oakman of all people bringing it up. He'll make a nice deal to Ewing. Watch him get under control and shoot the baby jumper.
Clyde, the Knicks have been getting into a bad habit here at the Garden by falling behind in the first half of play. Remember, they fell behind the last time they played Atlanta, but this does not make for good habits, does it?
Well, that's true. Their bench has not been a factor, and all season it has, as well as their defense. So they must tighten up the defense, try to get some transition hoops, and hope John Starks can bail them out again.
I thought Stacey Augmon was the best player on the court in that first half of play with defense and some nice moves on the offensive end. It's the Hawks by 14 at the half. Earlier today at Madison Square Garden, much excitement with lines forming outside the main lobby as early as 7 a.m. Today, tickets went on sale for the remainder of the New York Knicks season. Approximately 20,000 tickets were sold during the day. Right now, let's rejoin Al Trotwig and John Andres courtside.
All right, Bruce, some numbers to talk about, and the shooting numbers for the Knicks are dismal to say the least. 38 to 47% for the Hawks. Blair Rasmussen, most of these from long distance, 4 of 6. Mark Jackson, very slow.
Yes, the Knicks are not doing it offensively. The numbers make that clear. Turnovers, of course, very costly. It's cost the Knicks 16 points. The Hawks, 6 turnovers, cost them 4 points. That's a 12-point spread.
We're set to go in the second half. Now, John, I don't normally do this because I'm usually wrong. I just feel so confident that the Knicks are going to turn this around in the second half and win this game. I don't know why. Take a look at one of the matchups in the first half. The Wilkins brothers, Dominique and Gerald, both very absent as far as the offensive scheme goes. Dominique picked it up a bit in the second quarter. Still uncharacteristically low, 8 points. Stacey Augmon, who has been a force in this game, banks one in to start the second half, and the foul.
Stacey Augmon at 6'8", very difficult. Nice fakes, good motion toward the basket, and of course, a nice touch to finish it off. Make that 5 out of 8 in the field for Augmon.
And that whistle against Gerald Wilkins resulting in his 4th foul. Augmon completes the 3-point play. John Starks is in. And a good start for Atlanta, 55 to 38, just underway in the second half. Jackson fires for Starks. Ewing fouled on the way up. John, we've talked about it so often. Pat Riley wants to see it, but again, Patrick Ewing, for whatever it is, defensive pressure or his desire, or Blair Rasmussen forcing him outside, has been unable to establish himself low and inside.
Well, I don't think that it has been anywhere near as dramatic, Al, as it has been, but I think the Knicks aren't showing enough patience, or didn't in the first half, to get better shots. And that's what they must work at doing. Also, their intensity level, as we look at a frustrated Gerald Wilkins, naturally, with 4 fouls now, their intensity level just wasn't good enough in the first half. My goodness, they were to the foul line, but twice in the first half, and it was Ewing. No one else.
Connecticut with the advantage.
Gerald, the last thing he wants to do is foul himself out of play in a game with his brother. There's Augmon sneaking free inside again. Drawing the foul. Charles Oakley is called on the foul. Oakley as well. Very quiet in the first half. 0 for 2, 3 rebounds. 3rd foul on Oakley.
Atlanta at 16 and 15, not overwhelming when you think of it as they're just a game above 500. However, they were on a 4-game winning streak. One of their victims 3 games ago was the Phoenix Suns, and the Knicks got a taste of how tough the Suns are, so the Hawks are confident.
Jackson's pass deflected by Moreland Wiley. Knicks will inbound with 15 on the 24. Wiley forcing Jackson to keep it right. Jackson is able to make it happen left. Starks. Ewing
now, trying to back in on Rasmussen. Goes for the turnaround. Oakley was there to attempt the follow. X-Man drops it in. 56-42. Knicks down by 14. The biggest lead for Atlanta here in the second half at 17 points. They led at 1 point by 16 in the second. Dominique on the reverse, followed by Willis. Uncontested.
See, this is the challenge the Knicks have. They're thought of, or they think of themselves as a physical team. And when you see people taking shots like Willis just did, open shots underneath the basket, you have to question that.
John starts a switch for three. So he starts off the half with a touch. 58-45 for the first 2 minutes of the third. Dominique, good defense against him by McDaniel, and a traveling on the baseline by Kevin Willis.
The denial has to take place, as it just did by the Knicks against the Hawks. They've got to take things away from them at their offensive end.
Starks, pressured by Augman, gets it across for Jackson. Yeah.
What a touch by Jackson.
Knicks within 11. Up comes Moreland Wiley. The last minute.
See, Ewing can't guard him that tight out there because Willis isn't going to hurt him out there.
Now they're saying Moreland Wiley stepped on the sideline. Wiley in only his third game with Atlanta. With the turnover, Nick Ball down by 11. Knicks with a modest, although successful, 7-2 run. Ewing with the slow rolling pass over Rasmussen. Followed by McDaniel. Yes! That is a 10th rebound for McDaniel. To go with it, 16 points. The X-Men.
The official paint sponsor of the NBA.
I don't have to tell you, still to come in this NBA season for the Knicks, the Bulls and the Lakers. 12-game mini plans are now on sale, and all those plans include guaranteed playoff purchase options. 465 jump, the area code 212. Knicks trying to make it happen in the third. The crowd has picked it up. The defense is there. Rasmussen. So tough that time from 15.
And the Hawks found him. That's the best part for them.
Rasmussen 5 of 7, 10 points. Lead back to 11. Oakley scans the scene. Jackson for McDaniel, who's been playing superbly. Draws the fake, works inside. Tries to get his own rebound. It goes the Hawks' way. Augman dishes for Dominique. Strange looking play. It's strange to see Dominique look so awkward. Oakley, Jackson. Oh! He scooped it below the hoop and rammed it in. Knicks within 9.
That's one of those, did my eyes see what they saw?
The dunk of the game voting is closed. Rasmussen quiets the crowd again. 6 of 8. 12. Starks tangled up on the baseline.
What a play by Augman. Stopping Starks and then saving the ball.
Rasmussen. This time he's off. All Knicks inside. Jackson the crosses for Starks. Ewing. Jackson tangling up Rasmussen. Jump ball. Good hustle by Mark.
The benefits of replay. Another look at Ewing. Watch 33. Wow, one-handed.
Well, the fans are watching it here on Garden Vision, and oohing and eyeing again.
Where the Hawks going to tip now? Probably back to Willis.
Nope. Rasmussen goes to Dominique as he wins it easily from Mark Jackson. Rasmussen down low for Willis. Backing in on Ewing. Goes for the scoop. Great defense by Patrick Ewing. Starks on the run. Knicks on the move. John Starks is tangled up big time by Rasmussen. He'll go to the line for 2. You can see it in his face, John, when Starks starts getting into it. He breathes differently. His eyes have a different cast to them. will go to the line for 2 so far in the game. 3 of 9, 7 points. The Knicks free throw shooting over the past 2 weeks or so. Very, very tough to watch. Now we have a whistle as Kevin Willis jumped into the lane. Oh, this is a big turn for the Knicks. The free throw counts. And there's a foul on Willis. I'd say that's a foul, John.
Coming in tonight, by the way, John Starks has made his last 15 foul shots.
So he's catching the free throw flu, I guess. Well, that'll send Xavier McDaniel to the line. It's down by 10. McDaniel really has been feeling it in the last 4 games. He's averaged just over 22 points a game. Already in this one, 16.
Perfect form. Took his time, concentrated, followed through. None of that falling back to the top of the circle that you often see players do upon the release.
McDaniel's been talking about a little tip that Mark Jackson gave him about 4 games ago when this run started. Mark said, "You're thinking too much. Just fire it up there. You're a shooter."
Now, with that form, it's hard to believe he comes in shooting under 70% from the line tonight.
Knicks with an 8, and the Garden is rocking. Dominique fouled on the release by Xavier McDaniel. That'll be number 3. His hang time is remarkable. Dominique's, that is.
Yes, he does hang all right.
Well, most people feel last year was Dominique's best. How are these for improvement in some numbers? He dished out 265 assists. That was a career high. 36% of an improvement. He averaged 9 rebounds a game, up 34%, and he's carrying over most of that into this year. Atlanta by 10. Orland Wiley, known for his defense, staying right with Jackson. Ewing fronts Rasmussen, looks inside, starts on the run. Knicks down by 8 again.
Offensive man Starks gets in front of his man and gets the ball nicely from Ewing.
Pat Riley up and applauding the defense, which is necessary at this end. Dominique Wilkins lost it. Nick ball.
There is a clear momentum that the Knicks are building now.
Knicks trailed 52-38 at the half. Ewing sets the pick. Sees some space. That is a shot that Mark Jackson has been hitting with so much consistency over the past 2 weeks.
You don't see anyone shooting a shot like that except Mark Jackson. He releases halfway up, it appears. So deceptive for the defense to deal with.
McDaniel right with Wilkins. And swept away by Jackson on the run. It doesn't go, but there'll be a foul.
Jackson to the rescue. Wilkins makes the mistake of turning his back to the defense. Mark Jackson exploits it, takes it all the way, draws the foul.
Turnovers which plagued the Knicks in the first half, absent here in the third. 0 turnovers for the Knicks, 5 of them for Atlanta, and I would say that most of those have been forced by Knick pressure. Timeout for Atlanta. The momentum right now belongs to the Knicks. 64-59. They're on their way back. Starks created the steal. Wilkins.
With
every game, Dutch Boy has a different message. Today in the third quarter, the Knicks dominating in close now as they come to life offensively, outscoring the Hawks 10-2. Patrick Ewing gets Starks, who beats his man. Starks has all kinds of ways to get that ball in the hole.
Beautifully painted with words, John. Mark Jackson to draw the Knicks within 4. Knicks almost got a break as the rebound popped out. The difference will stay at 5. Knicks are 7 of 10 from the free throw line. Warren Wiley gets a big Blair Rasmussen pick. Thought about the shot instead for Augman. 7 on the 24. Atlanta seems to really be frantic now in their offensive flow. Oh, Blair Rasmussen, cool as anything. What a game he's having. 7 for 10, 14 points. And virtually all of those points from outside. Mark Jackson, maybe surprised he got that free. Dominique.
That's why he's a monster, the jump shot.
22nd timeout called by the Knicks. A brief flurry for Atlanta. Knicks were enjoying a 19-8 run, and now the Hawks answer with a couple of quick ones. Now the busy week on MSG continues. The Rangers and the St. Louis Blues. Mr. Hull and Oates, I believe. It'll be the Blues and the Rangers tomorrow. Game night begins our coverage at 7 o'clock.
I saw them on Letterman last night, by the way.
Who was that?
Hull and Oates.
Oh, the other guys. Pat Riley was clapping aplenty at the efforts of his team in the third quarter. Then after seeing what Atlanta had done, 2 quick trips up the floor, called a quick 20, and on we go. A 9-point lead for Atlanta. Ewing. And Rasmussen comes down with it. Set up the matchups again. Jackson guarding Moreland Wiley. Xavier McDaniel on Dominique. Oakley with Rasmussen. Starks with Augman. And Ewing with Willis. Moreland Wiley is off, and Ewing grabs the miss. Jackson for Starks, and he'll wait for support. Now Jackson picks up the speed for 3. Starks all alone. Great look from Oakley. Such determination by Starks. Dominique sees some space.
He doesn't need much, and he got a lot.
70-61, Atlanta by 9. Knicks got it to 5. Well, there's been a much different third quarter for New York. Patrick Ewing fouled on the pass.
Had he decided to shoot it, though, could have drawn a 2-shot foul. But he does get it.
Atlanta is over the limit after the call, so Patrick Ewing will step to the line. You can see this is a rare trip for the Knicks in this one. Blair Rasmussen committing the foul. That is his 4th, and that is good news for the Knicks for what he has been doing to them tonight. Ewing hits the first. That'll be 16 points and 8 rebounds for Patrick. John Contact is into the game. Stacey Augman leaves as Graham also checks in for Atlanta, and with the 4 fouls, Rasmussen will sit.
Bobby Weiss, the Hawks coach, told me an interesting statement about contact before the game. He said he blocks out almost to a fault, a statement you rarely hear in the NBA. First of all, most players don't box out. He says he's got to go get the ball more, not just box out and be so stationary.
Dominique guarded by McDaniel. And he may be finding the range.
Well, there's no defense for that. He gets in an unbelievable streak of shooting, and he doesn't need hardly any room.
Dominique, after starting the game 3 for 8, has hit his last 3. He's 6 for 12. McDaniel triple team. Jackson is open. So is Starks. That was a 3-pointer, and Ewing follows another similar to the dunk earlier
with the left hand this time. Simply awesome.
Knicks down by 7. Willis doubled. Walks around the perimeter. Moreland Wiley sends it over for Willis, and he slides it in. Well, the tempo of this game has really changed.
But the Hawks are doing well. They're reacting so well to the Knicks when they double team, and they're getting the open man.
McDaniel, very active at the start of the quarter, has quieted.
Have another look at the last basket for the Knicks. Patrick Ewing, left hand. Full control, down she goes.
Knicks will keep it on the call against Atlanta. With 2:57 to go, the Knicks making it interesting. Timeout on the floor.
When you're having good times with friends, use good sense and drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. Reminder from Budweiser.
Knicks inbound the ball with 7 on the 24. Starks for Ewing. Fronts contact and delivers. Knicks down by 7. Time remaining in the third quarter. Knicks down by 14 at the half. They've cut the Hawks lead in half. Dominique is definitely settling in. He is at 4 straight, 18 points. Knicks give it away. The Hawks marching up. Moore and Wiley, a great look for Paul Graham. And he gets the foul, too.
Ball's getting the daylights beaten out of him by Kevin Willis in congratulatory manner. Look at this shot by Paul Graham, 6'6". Big bump from Oakley. Spins it up there. Knew what he was doing.
Fourth foul on Charles Oakley. Graham completes the three-point play. Brian Quinnett is in for the Knicks. And the Knicks, in their comeback, have still watched Atlanta shoot 73%. And the real pace setter in that was Blair Rasmussen, although Dominique is definitely contributing. John Starks, great move. Not the finish he wanted. And Atlanta is erasing all of the Knicks' hard work. They have done exactly that.
See how valuable Graham is, though. He comes up with the ball, leads the break, and gives it off comfortably. Sound player.
Now the question for the Knicks is, will they have enough to mount another comeback? It was 14 at the half. It's 14 again. Knicks have gone cold.
The NBA's second leading rebounder, owning the boards now, too. Kevin Willis has taken over.
Willis wide open across for Dominique. 81-67. Hawks enjoying a run of 9-2. Quinnett on Wilkins. Dominique for 3. Oakley for Jackson. Starks looks inside for Patrick and sets up for 3. Back inside. And Ewing, after bouncing off the body of John Contact.
Patience shown by the Knicks. Nice pass in, catchable pass. Starks to Ewing.
Really sensed a mental tug of war, though, for John Starks. Do I take it or not? Quinnett on Wilkins once again. Willis on Ewing. He is off. Oakley rips it down. Oakley playing with 4 fouls. 45 seconds to go. Starks trying to draw Graham out. Ewing quickly double team. Quinnett is open. Here's a 2-point attempt. The Knicks trying to put on a surge to close out the third. It's 81-72. Willis poked by Ewing. On Dominique. Quinnett there again. Paul Graham posting up on Starks, and a foul against John Starks. That'll be number 3 with 11.8 seconds to go. Knicks over the limit. That'll send Paul Graham to the line. Dwayne Farrell checks in for Atlanta. Dominique Wilkins.
Knicks played a double overtime game on December 7th in Atlanta. At the end of 3, it was 80-80. And it was nip and tuck the rest of the way, obviously, to go to that double overtime, which the Knicks ultimately won. The Hawks, however, can be exploited. Should they get cold, the Knicks can come roaring back. The Hawks are not a disciplined kind of team. They will keep running and pushing the ball. But the Knicks have got to make it difficult for them, and they have been unable to make it difficult enough. When you look at the shooting percentages of the Hawks in the third quarter.
Graham makes it an even dozen on the Atlanta lead. Seconds ticking down in the quarter. Starks draws everybody. Jackson will have to let it go. Nothing doing. So for all their hard work and for all the cheering, the Knicks shave only 2 points off the Hawks halftime lead.
In part by Mobile. Drive your engine clean with Mobile Super Unleaded Plus. And by MetLife. Get Met. It pays.
What a week it's been for Marlon Wiley. Playing for his third NBA team. This was supposed to be the last game of a 3-game fill-in spot. Instead, he finds himself on the roster for the rest of the season. We asked him, is it good to have security now?
Not at all. I mean, security, what is security? You know, I can go out tomorrow and get hit by a car. So, I mean, I don't know. I just continue to play hard, you know, and contribute and have fun. That's the main thing I try to stress, is just go out there and give it all I have and, you know, create some enthusiasm for the rest of the players, you know, and make sure they're doing their job. And, you know, the bottom line is winning ball games.
Looks like he's enjoying it. No complaints. No one could criticize him for that. Look at reality, and what a nice attitude he reflects. And he also reflected 14 assists last night in a win against Houston, and that locked up his contract the rest of the way.
On we go into the fourth quarter. Hawks 83, Knicks 71. Pat Riley sends up Greg Anthony, who is being pressured, and he coughs it up, which has been the propensity of the Knicks under pressure. 14-point Hawk lead again. Not a good start for the Knicks and Greg Anthony. Gwinnett is wide open, thinking three. It would have been a two-pointer. Starks had it in his grasp, and it slips away again.
Well, those are the signs. The bounces are not going the Knicks' way tonight.
On contact, looks inside for Dwayne Farrell. He's doubled, so they kick it outside. Good ball movement by Atlanta. Ewing up there with John Starks on the rebound. Patrick sends it up for Starks. Trying to get the first step on Farrell, who did a good job of sticking with him. McDaniel slides inside, is rejected by Willis.
Nice helping defense by the Hawks.
Graham shows the ball left and then takes it in, and the foul. Patrick Ewing called on the foul. That is number 2. Marlon Wiley will sit. Had a good night, not big offense. You never expect that from him, at least historically in his time in the NBA, you don't. But he runs a pretty good show.
The more you see Paul Graham, the more you have to like him, too. And not a mistake player in any way. And he seems to make the right decisions all the time on offense.
Gerald Wilkins back in for the Knicks. Pretty good night for the USBL, John. They've got Paul Graham here and Anthony Mason. There's some USBL executives who are here tonight handing out pamphlets saying League of Opportunity. And for those two players, it has been. 10:45 to go in the fourth. Starks skips it outside. Wilkins runs around Graham and is fouled as he sprants down the baseline.
Gerald's had a frustrating evening, played 12 minutes in the first half. Foul problems plagued him tonight.
Gerald Wilkins on the foul will step to the free throw line. Knicks down by 15 points.
Yeah.
And he is off. Gerald 2 of 5 from the floor. Now 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 6 points. He and Charles Oakley both with 4 personal fouls. Larry Rasmussen, who killed the Knicks in the third quarter, is on the bench with 4 fouls as well. Ewing ties up Willis. Drops it for Starks. Sees Wilkins. The Knicks can play with the confidence that in the third quarter they were able to make things happen against Atlanta. Now they've got to recreate that spirit in the fourth quarter.
When the Knicks won in Atlanta in that double overtime game, it was physical effort. They were coming off a very disappointing loss in Boston the night before. And they came down and showed what their superior conditioning could do and mean in a game. They're going to have to call on similar resources tonight.
John Starks, his 4th foul, so now the Knicks have 3 players at that level. Dominique Wilkins replaces Kevin Willis, a move by Bob Weiss. Willis leaves, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 28th double-double of the season. That pass deflected by Starks. Now, wait a minute. Officials disagreeing. They say Graham was the last to touch it. It will be Nick Ball.
Bernie Fryer, the second official closer, picked that out.
Knicks down by a dozen. Greg Anthony guarded by Romeo Robinson. Starks looks for Wilkins on the move. Anthony battles for the rebound and slaps it off the back of Romeo Robinson.
What a great play. Meanwhile, Anthony was a very important factor in the Knicks' win against the Hawks. He played both overtimes, 8 assists, played a solid game. Anthony can soar, as you see.
Right there.
Anthony guarded by Farrell. Xavier McDaniel there. Now for Starks. Back for Anthony. 10 on the 24.
Anthony and Starks playing catch.
Ewing winds up open at the free throw line and is way off.
That's the quality the Hawks like to see in Dominique. His rebounding has been excellent.
Knicks have tried to raise the level of their defense, and Atlanta has responded in kind. Atlanta's ball movement around the perimeter has really made things happen for them. Dominique Wilkins drops that one off the glass, 88-74.
They're also spreading their offense out beautifully so that Dominique and others can drive like he just did. If the offense is spread out, the defense is spread out.
Ewing trying to get away from the hand-holding going on. Anthony winds up open, but he's in skyscraper territory. Starks for 2.
Knicks are finding it very difficult because of the Hawks defense to get shots.
John Starks fouls Romeo Robinson. The transition has really hurt the Knicks too. Not as much in the second half as the first. That is the 5th foul by John Starks. Knicks call a huddle for the first time of the game. They'll be on the road tomorrow. It won't get any easier on the parquet. Of course, the Celtics will be without Larry Bird.
Larry Bird reports were very good if you read today's papers. However, we find in talking to sources in Boston that he may be out 1 to 2 months and not the 4 games that he has to be out now because he was put on the injured list before last night's game. Reports are his back is more serious than reports indicated that were released in today's papers. If he needs surgery, unfortunately, that's a subject that has come up of late. If he needs it, Larry Bird has said he will retire.
To 76 Atlanta. 6 on the 24. Xavier McDaniel.
This is where it has to happen, though, at the defensive end.
X-Man with 18 points and 11 rebounds. Atlanta goes down low for Paul Graham. Contact for Robinson. And the number 10 pick in the 2 drafts ago is all net, 92-76.
The Hawks are finding many more guns with outside shooting than the Knicks are offering. And their passing to the open men has been excellent. Crisp passing by the Hawks tonight.
Knicks run a set play. Gerald Wilkins gets it. Nothing doing. Starks for 3. Knicks could use a few of those. That draws them to within 13. 7.5 to go. Knicks get it up to the Knicks get back quickly. Dominique tries to take advantage and does so in a huge way.
Where's the physical play? Where's somebody getting in his way?
Well, the Hawks took some hits in the 3rd quarter, but when their lead dwindled to 5, they have responded in a big way. Back in a moment.
You like that? Oh, that's a preseason shot if I ever saw one. Bird.
Off the 3-on-2.
2-1-2, 4-6-5, JUMP. John, what does that translate to in numbers, JUMP?
In numbers? I don't know, Al. It's too tough for me to work on. Jump is much easier to remember, and jump is what Dominique Wilkins did when he crashed through the Knicks defense and made it look real porous.
Dominique with 22 and charged up. 6 rebounds to go with that. One more time. 94-79. Starks moving in on Dominique, and And that's the way it's been going.
The defense by the guys in the red shirts is much tougher.
Knicks shooting number at the half was 38%. Now it's just a couple of percentage points better. Marlon Wiley back in at the point, guarded by Anthony. John Concact picked up by Ewing. McDaniel right with Dominique, and good defense, forcing the turnover. Knicks down by 15. Anthony for Starks. And it's been one three-pointer after another. And again, the Knicks will get caught on transition.
Well, Starks fell down. Again, a sign of the little things that have not been working. He fell down, and that opened up the Knicks' backcourt to exposure.
It has not been a John Starks magical night. 6 for 17. Gerald Wilkins is off. Ewing follows. Starks again for 3. McDaniel had the rebound, and it slipped off his fingertips.
All the potential positive breaks going away. There are none for the Knicks. And it only means harder work.
6 minutes and 6 seconds to go. Big factors in the second half, Larry Rasmussen and Dominique Wilkins, who had 8 points at halftime, now with 22. Ramil Robinson throws a double team and takes it right down the lane. Patrick Ewing gets it out of there. Fresh cycle on the 24-second clock for Atlanta. Quick. 10 on the 24. Dominique spins on McDaniel. Good help by Greg Anthony. Contact for Ramil Robinson up above the rim, and the follow inside by Dwayne Farrell.
Much livelier legs on the part of the Hawks. More determination by them as well. Nice look off by Contact. Ramil Robinson, 6'1", soaring to the rim.
Beautiful follow by Farrell. That'll be it for John Starks. Foul number 6. He is gone. And Pat Riley sends in Kennard Winchester, his first appearance in 4 games. He last played the day after Christmas. You may remember that was the blowout game against the San Antonio Spurs. Knicks on the losing end. 99-79. It is at the blowout distance. Greg Anthony throws it away. And a foul inside. You know, John, it's so tough to figure. Knicks had everything in their favor. They get it down to 5 points back in the third quarter. The crowd, the shots, and then it was as if they ran into a brick wall. Everything that they had just left.
Yes, everything flat. And it's amazing how a team can be so excellent with their hard work, as Tim McCormick checks in for the first time in a long time. Frustrating evening for Patrick Ewing. He played 50 minutes the other night and was asked how he felt. He said, "I feel tired, but I feel good." Because victories do that. They erase the fatigue a bit. But tonight, it's been nothing but frustration.
And you know what they say, when you get blown out, the good thing about the NBA is you can get rid of it tomorrow. Well, here 2 days after one of the best wins of the year, they have this to think about. So it works both ways. Ewing on the bench with 23 points and 11 rebounds. 5 minutes to go. Swarming defense by Atlanta. Very, very effective. Gerald Wilkins, a 2-pointer. The Knicks have taken a lot of shots in this fourth quarter that should be 3-point distance, but they've been 2. They've been failing to back up that extra 2-3 inches to get it outside the stripe. Defense by McDaniel, saved by Atlanta. Stacey Augmon, Concact, Marlon Wiley, rebound McCormick.
What's very encouraging for the Hawks is that the last 5 games they've played have been home games. And when you go on the road, it's always a challenge, and the expectations aren't as great. But they've come out tonight. The Hawks have and played an excellent game, and it's really been a both ends of the court situation.
Foul on Greg Anthony is first. Xavier McDaniel is replaced by Brian Cornett. McDaniel leaves 10 of 17 from the floor, 11 rebounds, 22 points. Pat Riley may be thinking about saving some muscles for tomorrow night in Boston. Patrick Ewing pulled with a few minutes to go. Now McDaniel. Mark Jackson, limited time in the second half.
Pat Riley with the same expression in winning and losing, witnessing what he has many times before, the realities of the NBA and building a team.
First off game for Mark Jackson in quite some time. He's on the bench 2 for 10. Brian Quinnett, that won't go. Our post-game coverage will, of course, include the Pat Riley media conference. Bruce Beck will be along with Walt Frazier. Michael Kay is working the locker rooms. That'll be on our post-game coverage following the Knicks and the Hawks here. Marlon Wiley tries to follow his own shot. McCormick is up there with Gerald Wilkins. 3.5 to go. Wilkins for 3. This has been like an ABA game in the last 4 minutes. 103-86. In front of 17,442.
Is that American Banking Association?
No. There's been very little to bank on tonight. John Koncak is even taking 20-footers. And hustling Hawks get it back. I think in honor of Marv, you should say it, John.
Barbar's time.
Thank you.
Approached and overtaken this look here.
There's a timeout on the floor here at the Garden. It has been a dismal second half
here back at courtside inside the Garden. The Knicks are getting hammered by Atlanta.
Foul inside. Knicks have the unusual lineup of Tim McCormick, Brian Quinnett, Gerald Wilkins, Greg Anthony, and Kennard Winchester. It's interesting to note that Bob Weiss has stayed pretty much with his important players. Marlon Wiley, who started the game at the point, Stacey Augmon, Wayne Farrell, Dominique Wilkins, and Rumeal Robinson. This has been no way indicative of the Hawks season. They've been a bit streaky. This 4-game winning streak, about to become 5, was preceded by a 4-game losing streak. This win will move them 2 games over 500, even the season series with the Knicks at 1 apiece. It looked like traveling from Augmon, but it doesn't go anyway. McCormick launches it for Greg Anthony. 2:20 to go in the game. Gerald Wilkins off target. Knicks shooting has definitely been a sore spot tonight.
Augmon very, very impressive tonight.
Then McCormick, his first points since back in November. There's a 15-point Atlanta lead. Knicks' home record will fall to 13-3. And tomorrow, as we've spoken about, it will be on to Boston. Our coverage on MSG2 at 7:30. Foul against Tim McCormick underneath.
Dominique is giving us a nice smile, Al.
I missed it.
He's one of those guys who checks the sidelines and very responsive to the crowd.
Knicks shooting 42% in the game. On the season as a team, the Knicks have been shooting 47.5%. They were a 38% shooting team in the first half.
Looking back to that disappointing loss against Cleveland, they were a shade under 40% here at home. So those are the kind of numbers the Knicks don't want to see from the field here at their home court. But it also points, as it does when the Knicks have problems, to their need for outside shooting on a consistent basis.
6 players in double figures for the Atlanta Hawks. As Greg Anthony steps to the line, I can tell you that Dominique responded with 16 second-half points. He has 24. Kevin Willis had most of his points in the first half. He has 16, but 10 rebounds to go with him. 14 for Blair Rasmussen, 17 for Augmon, 15 for Paul Graham off the bench, and 11 for Dwayne Farrell off the bench. Nick free throw adventures continue. Greg Anthony, the contributor there. 1:25 to go. 22 for Patrick Ewing, 23 for Patrick Ewing, 22 for Xavier McDaniel, 15 for Gerald Wilkins, 15 for John Starks, and that is it. 5 on the 24. Stacey Augmon, 2 on the 24. Brian Quinnett looks inside for Tim McCormick, draws 2 Hawks in the air, and banks it in for his second hoop. Feel free to jump in anytime, John. You want a pearl, Al?
Well, the good part of this is that guys who don't normally get time are getting a little exercise. It's always important to have a reason for a shower, you know?
Quinnett with the rebound, 30 seconds to go in this one. So the Knicks, very disappointingly, will follow one of their most exciting games of the year with one of the dullest.
Nice drive by Winchester.
Everyone has scored for the Knicks except for Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley. Seconds to go, and a big finish by Dwayne Farrell. Farrell, 13 points. This is the second straight game now he's hit for double figures off the bench. This is where the Hawks have been getting some help. Last night it was 15 against Houston. Tonight it's 13 against the Knicks. And that will do it. The final score at Madison Square Garden tonight, the Atlanta Hawks 109 and the New York Knicks 94. A 14-point lead at the half. Knicks shaved it to 5, but then Atlanta took over in a very big way. The Evian Natural Spring Water player of the game tonight, Dominique Wilkins, 16 second half points, 9 rebounds, 9 of 16 from the floor. That after a 3-for-8 start. A big finish for Dominique Wilkins and the Atlanta Hawks. Bruce Becca's along, so is our full post-game coverage. That's all still to come as we continue courtside from Madison Square Garden.
New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks win it by a score of 109-94. The Hawks led throughout and coasted in that fourth quarter of play. There's the idea of what it was like tonight for the New York Knicks. John Starks with the towel over his head. On the other side of the coin, Dominique Wilkins with the authoritative dunk as the Hawks roll over the New York Knicks. And Dominique Wilkins joins us now courtside. And Dominique, 52 points in the last meeting between these two teams, but you ended up on the short end. Tonight, a lot less, but the team comes up with a W.
That's the most important thing, and I didn't really care about the points. You know, I started out a little slow offensively, but, you know, late in the game when they needed me to get going, I got going and hit some big buckets. But I think our defense really what dictated this win.
And the defense, especially in the first half.
Oh, it's great. The defense, I think, from after the first 5-6 minutes of the game was great. I mean, we helped each other. We rotated. We got on the boards. You know, they made a run at us to come back, but we held our composure, and that's what we had to do to win.
Dominique, what about the balanced scoring that this team is showing?
Well, it's easier for me because now I don't have to try to get 30 or 35 points every night. You got guys like Stacey who's getting better and better each night. Dwayne Farrell coming off the bench. And now Blair has seemed to find his game, so you got a lot of different people helping out.
So that enable you to work on other aspects of the game, passing and going to the boards?
Yeah, oh definitely. I think those things there I have to do more of to get our team going, and once we do that, we're tough.
Gerald was talking trash after the last ball game. What are you going to say to him tonight?
Well, I'm the mild-mannered guy of the family, so I don't have much to say. But Gerald, I think right now he's a little frustrated. I think he has to kind of settle down and get his game together. But we got to win tonight.
Playing in Madison Square Garden, what does it mean to you?
It's a fun place to play. I've always liked playing here. Over the years, it's been a great place to come and play. Now that you got all the different new looks in here, it's even much better.
5 wins in a row now for the Atlanta Hawks. What is this team doing right?
Defense. That's what's winning the games for us, our defense. We hadn't played defense. The games we lost, I think it was like 6 out of 7 games we lost. We didn't play any defense. Now it's different.
Now, Dominique, Gerald's contract is up at the end of this season. Do you have any advice for him?
The only thing I would tell anybody, and especially Gerald, is that just keep playing your game. Don't worry about that. It'll happen. He's gonna be somewhere. He's gonna get paid for somebody. So the thing he has to do is keep playing hard and don't worry about that.
All right. What about your division? Do the Hawks have a decent shot to ascend in the division right now?
Well, we're not really worrying about it right now. We want to take it one game at a time, play as hard as we can, and we want to be in that playoff race when it comes down to it. The thing we have to do is keep having confidence in ourselves.
All right. Final question. The Knicks made a little bit of a run in the third quarter, but you guys were able to hold on in the fourth. What
What sparked you?
I think what sparked us is that tenacious defense we played as a team, and guys just stepping up, hitting big shots, and it was just a total team effort.
Congratulations on the effort. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Dominique Wilkins, our player of the game, a solid effort for the Atlanta Hawks overall as a team. And guests will receive a Be My Guest restaurant certificate from American Express. Honored at restaurants in the U.S. and Canada, accepting the American Express card. Be My Guest, the perfect wedding anniversary and thank you gift. To order with the card, call 1-800-535-GIFT. Membership has its privileges. So Dominique finishes with 24 points and 9 rebounds, pacing the Atlanta Hawks to a victory tonight. Well, in the first quarter of play, both teams started out slowly. They shot less than 45% from the field, but the Hawks had the lead at the end of one by a score of 25-19. Second quarter of play, Atlanta went up by 16 at one point, and at halftime, they had a comfortable 14-point margin, 52-38. In the third quarter of play, New York closed to within 5, 64-59, playing their best basketball of the evening, but the Hawks rebounded, and they went on to win tonight. Right now to Pat Riley's press conference.
Just did not play the game at all. Did not play well. Did not play real hard, and because of that, had it handed to us pretty easily. You got to give Atlanta a lot of credit. They played last night, and they beat a lot of good teams. Even though their record might not be indicative of that, they have beaten some quality teams, and we happen to be one of them. We didn't look like it tonight, but you got to give them a lot of credit. We just were not in it. We just weren't in it tonight. You know, you don't want to use the word struggling. We've been running an emotional high, putting a lot of energy, a lot of intensity into games, winning games at the wire, and that takes its toll in a way, and it just looked as though that the plug was pulled a little bit. You know, as much as you talk about it and you try to remind them of it, you know, we had a very, very flat performance, and you cannot put them on the floor and flog them, and I mean, that's life, and I don't want to throw any game away ever, you know, but this is a game that we did not play well in, and struggling is, you know, we've been winning. I don't know how you know, I don't know what you want.
Now you're on the other end of the put the W.
Sure. You know, I mean, what's the struggle? It's a win. A struggling win and a struggling loss tonight. Okay, you can go both ways with it. Yeah.
You're on the other end of the back-to-back now tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we got to come back. You cannot get too high. You're never as good as you are, and you're never as bad as you are. And I think we have to understand that in this game, games come real fast, and we got to get ready to play, you know, the Celtics tomorrow. We got them again on Saturday, and you know, and remember that we have to take the word "I." You know, I just saw a lot of "I" tonight on the floor. This ball wasn't moving. Guys are shooting the ball. So same old thing that happens.
Celtics are missing quite a few bodies.
I don't worry about it. I'm not thinking about that. You know, I mean, as soon as I start worrying about somebody else's problems, we're going to have even more, you know, so we just got to get ourselves in the right state of mind for tomorrow. Right.
Sometimes it's cliche, but could it have been a case of looking ahead as the Celtics?
No way. I don't think we're looking ahead at all. I really don't. I just think we came up real flat tonight. And I always call it. You know, you put, you know, quotation marks around the word it. It got in. Now, whatever it is, I'd like to know. I'm going to find out. It is a very insidious disease that gets in every now and then when you're going well, and it got in tonight, and we just couldn't shake it.
Well, when you come off a Phoenix game, and I mean, do you concern yourself after a dramatic win like that about the next game, thinking, well, you know, we've spent a lot here tonight. Are we going to be ready? You know, are we going to...
Coaches always worry. You know, I mean, we always worry. That's our job. You know, are they ready? Are they too flat? Are they too up? I mean, you know, you can never really prepare for that. I mean, the first 6 minutes of the game showed that we were out of sync and did not really come ready and sharp. The first 4 shots we took were from the perimeter. We could have taken them to the basket, you know. I mean, it happens, and you got to get rid of it real quick, you know. And it happened for 48 minutes. we had a couple of runs at them, but we could not sustain anything.
So, Pat, this was more of a mental loss than
I think so. You know, when you look at it, we've been pushing hard. They've been pushing hard. I mean, when you win some of the games that we've won the last couple of weeks, you know, somewhere it just takes its toll. And I don't want to use that as an excuse, but there's a natural phenomenon in this league, and it's called players are being human beings. And sometimes it just collectively, you know, goes flat.
Is this one of those you just assume the players forget about and move on?
Well, I would like to have them remember exactly how it felt. I mean, this is the last place. You know, I mean, this is really the last place that we want to have these kind of performances. Our guys know that. They know that there are people out here that are anxious to support them, and this is the last place that they want to have that kind of performance. And they come to the Garden ready to play, and sometimes it just doesn't work, you know, at home. These are the games you want down on the road. With no MSG network or nothing, you know, I mean, nothing, you know, but every time, you know, it gets seen by somebody, somewhere.
What you would like to see doing around the basket more, especially in the first half?
They just packed it in on us. I mean, they packed it in. They packed it in. I mean, they had 4 or 5 guys, you know, feet in the paint. And we couldn't even enter the ball into the post because they wouldn't honor our passes because they're not fearful of our shooters. And that's what happened tonight.
What about early on when Rasmussen is just taking uncontested shots? It's like his whole game, and he's banging one in after another. No one's coming up on him.
Well, you know, he's a drive and kick type of receiver, you know. He just floats around the perimeter. And I don't know. You know, yeah, he was hitting jumpers. We kept making a point, close him out. Close him out.
Good starts tonight. You know, started off, struggled, and then picked it up and stuff. But he looked like you're one player who really never got down and never quit working. It was kind of
everybody struggled tonight. It was. You got to give the Hawks credit for coming in and, you know, they played last night. You know, Bobby brought them in for a walkthrough today. They were prepared. They came in and they played. And they played much better than us. We had guys that made an effort. Sometimes you make a flailing effort, you know, and it's directed with the heart, but it isn't with the mind, and it's all over the place. And I saw a lot of that tonight, so we'll try to get it back tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
The coaches' press conference brought to you by the New York Times. And Pat Riley says the ball club was out of sync, came up real flat, did not play well. Team's got to throw the word I out of their vocabulary, called it a mental loss, and said this is a game you would not like to have on TV, especially on MSG Network. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
You've been up in the air for hours. Now you've got to make up the time. Aren't you glad Hertz has a faster, easier way to rent a car? #1 Club Gold. No paperwork, no stopping at counters, nothing to slow you down. You go straight to our Gold parking area, where your car is waiting, ready to go. It's our fastest way to rent a car.
We're gonna make it.
Call Hertz today for low daily rates on Lincolns with free unlimited mileage.
In the spirit of the Olympic Games, the Postal Service would like to present two-day priority mail. That's delivery in just 2 days of up to 2 pounds for just $2.90.
The Atlanta Hawks win their 5th ball game in a row. They defeat the New York Knicks convincingly at Madison Square Garden tonight. The final score 109-94. The leading scorer summary is brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Advantage Jeep and Eagle. First, we'll look at the Atlanta Hawks. Dominique Wilkins, 9 for 16 for the field, also had 9 boards to go with the 24 points. Stacey Augmon played a terrific all-around game. He had 17. Kevin Willis, second in the NBA in rebounds, 16 points and 10 boards. Paul Graham contributed nicely with 15 and 7 rebounds. And Blair Rasmussen, 7 for 10 from the field for 14. Dwayne Farrell, 5 for 6 off the bench. He had 13 points. Terrific balance by the Hawks with 6 players in double figures. For the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing led the way with 23. He had 11 rebounds, shot just 9 for 20. The X-Man, who was really one of the few players who played with a lot of heart tonight, he had 22 points and 11 rebounds, tried to ignite a rally. He shot 10 for 17 from the field. Gerald Wilkins, 5 for 11 for 15, and John Starks really struggled from the field. 2 for 7 from three-point land, 6 for 18 overall. Starks finished with 15 points. So for the New York Knicks right now, one of their big concerns is their play at Madison Square Garden. They opened the season with 11 consecutive wins, and that was one game shy of breaking a club record for the beginning of the season. But since that time, they have lost to San Antonio. That was the blowout game, 118-89. They beat Indiana, but had to go to overtime to do so. They lost to Cleveland here at the Garden, 110-103. They beat Phoenix, went to overtime to do so, 108-104. And tonight they lost to the Atlanta Hawks by a score of 109-94. So the Knicks have dropped 3 of their last 6 overall, but here at the Garden they have dropped 3 of their last 5. Right now, let's take a look at some of the dunking action tonight. And the dunk of the game is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that distinctively clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. All right, let's take a look at some of the dunking action tonight, and it was plentiful. First of all, Patrick Ewing. On the other end of the side, it was Dominique Wilkins. Here's the fast break. And watch Dominique 3-on-0 with the reverse. Now for the Knicks, another monster play by Ewing. And for the Hawks, Dominique with an exclamation point. So the Atlanta Hawks win it tonight over the New York Knicks. Coach Bob Weiss joins us now courtside as the Knicks go down to defeat here at the Garden for the 3rd time in 5 games. Bob, you got terrific balance tonight from a lot of different ball players.
Yeah, we played well, and you know, we're capable of doing that, and that's what I want to look for more as we go into the season, is more people developing into scorers, so it's not all on Neek's back.
You know, early in the show I said this is a team that is sometimes erratic and sometimes enigmatic, but now with 5 straight wins, you're doing something right.
Well, I had to look that up, but you're not talking to Pat Riley now, you know. Yeah, we've been up and down, but that's life in the NBA. But we're very young, and I'm really proud of the way our young people are developing. Stacey Augmon is way ahead of where I had hoped he'd be when we drafted him. We got Snoop Graham that comes in off the streets, Morton Wiley off the streets, and they're doing a great job for us.
And as far as Dominique is concerned, you're getting a lot of different aspects to his game instead of just scoring. You pleased with that?
Well, last year he made a lot of major developments that way. I think the beginning of this year he kind of slid back because we had all these new faces, and I don't think he kind of trusted them. He felt he had to score, and so he went out and did that. Now he's starting to get confidence in those other players, and that's going to make us better.
Bob, you seem to score at will offensively and really took it to the basket.
Well, when we move the ball well, we have a tendency to be able to do that. It's when we start going one-on-one too early that we have trouble. But we do have a lot of people that can go one-on-one and create problems for defenses. So, you know, tonight was one of those nights when we were doing it.
Now let's go back to the first half, something that you did very well in your playing days, which was play defense. This ball club worked cohesively throughout the first half, especially on the defensive end.
Well, our goal was to try and keep it out of Ewing's hands, don't let him turn into the basket, and make the other people beat us from the outside. Fortunately for us, they weren't real hot from outside, so it worked.
So which is the real Atlanta ball club? The club right now, which has won 5 in a row, or the club that struggled for a good part of the early part of the season?
I'd say we're a little bit in between, but I think we're getting better. We were 2 games over 500 last year, and we've made a lot of changes, and we got young, but I still want to improve on what we did last year.
Final question, where did you get Moreland Wiley from, and is it true he's here to stay?
He's definitely here to stay. Moreland, I had Moreland I was an assistant in Orlando. We had him there. He didn't get to play much, but Moreland is the kind of a guy that's not going to shoot the ball much. And with an expansion team where you don't have a lot of scorers, it's tough to find the minutes for him. So Scott Skiles, Sam Vincent, who could play, point, and score, got to play more. But he really does a great job for us because we have scorers, and he'll get him the ball.
So the Hawks win it tonight with players such as Snoop Graham and Moreland Wiley. It's tough, but Coach, congratulations.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Bob Weiss, the coach of the Atlanta Hawks, who rolled to a victory tonight over the New York Knicks behind Dominique and Snoop and company.
How do I know where to get my brakes done right?
Come to Midas. There's a lot of value in our $89 or $99 basic brake service. And you get something else. peace of mind, knowing you get a thorough inspection by Midas-trained experts and a written estimate up front. Knowing every brake shoe and pad is guaranteed for as long as you own your car, and knowing the job will be done right. That's why more people come to us for brakes, knowing that nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
15-point win by the Atlanta Hawks. They led almost the entire way, and they coasted to that fourth quarter of play tonight over the New York Knicks. Right now, let's go to John Andres back in the locker room area. John?
Thank you, Bruce. There was very little good news here at the Garden tonight for the Knicks, but part of the good news was the return of Tim McCormick. Tim, it must have felt good to get back in sneakers again.
Yeah, it did. I've been waiting for close to a month now. I've been working really hard and to get back out there and break a sweat and actually be able to take my uniform off and take a shower after the game. It really felt good.
Be one of the guys again, right? Also, your scoring average zoomed tonight, Tim. Are you happy about that? Couple of hoops?
Well, I wish that I could have had a chance to do that when the game counted, but the main thing is just to be out there and be productive. And from my standpoint, it's very important to show Pat Riley that I can be productive and that he can count on me. Not necessarily for points, but just for hustle and good enthusiasm out there, because that's what the team needs from night to night.
Tim, fans know that you joined the Knicks from the Atlanta Hawks early this season in that trade involving Maurice Cheeks. What did you note about the Atlanta Hawks, your old team, so to speak?
Well, from playing with them last season, I know that they're certainly capable on any night to give any team a run for their money, especially at home. But on the other team's court, Dominique seems to really rise to the occasion. When he comes out there early and makes some fantastic plays, he gets everybody else's confidence up. And quite frankly, they're a much better team this year with what Kevin Willis is doing. He's dominating the boards. He's really productive offensively. And the other guys, they're just role players. They understand that they're not going to get all the shots, but when they do get the ball, they have the green light and they're playing confidently.
I was impressed with Stacey Augman's play. He was very quiet in that first game against the Hawks, but tonight he came out very offensive. Seems to be developing quite well in his rookie year.
I've been very impressed with him. I've seen him play quite a bit on TBS, and I think that his rookie season is pretty typical of a rookie. He plays phenomenally some nights. Other nights he disappears and lets the veterans take over, but he has so much talent, and he's in a good organization in which he's going to have a chance to develop. So I was very impressed with what he does, not only defensively, but I think that he has the skills to post up the other two guards, and he's going to be a very effective player for a long time to come.
Tim, the mental approach to basketball, really to any sport, is so important. Tonight seemed to be one of those nights when the players didn't come out, the players on the Knicks team, mentally ready. How would you describe that feeling? Is it something that you can identify in the locker room or in the warm-ups before the game?
I've really tried to take a close look at that while I was on the injured reserve list, and there were some nights when I sat there and thought, oh my God, we're going to get killed tonight, and we go out and blow the other team out. It's really difficult to tell. We were very loose tonight, maybe a bit too loose, but I thought we would play extremely well. So it's frustrating because you don't really have a chance to get a good read on how we're going to play from night to night, but there are going to be lulls during the season. We played poorly at times, but we haven't let it carry on. We haven't dwelled on bad games. We've been able to bounce back, and that's the mark of a good team. And with two big games against Boston, our rivals in our division, coming up, we can't worry about this too much. We've got to get right back at it, and tomorrow night, if we get a win, I don't think that anybody's going to be worrying about the Atlanta Hawks.
About 21 hours from now, that will resume. Tim, we really appreciate you hanging with us, and nice to see you back, and we hope to see more of you on the court, and I'm sure you do as well.
Thanks a lot, John. It's good to be back.
Okay, now let's go back to Bruce Beck.
Thank you very much, John Andres. The New York Knicks now 20-10 on the season, and the Atlanta Hawks win their 5th ball game in a row. Their fast break tonight worked to perfection throughout the evening. Still to come, Walt Frazier, Michael Kay, and more.
Great time. Jim.
Joan, the final score tonight, the Hawks came into Madison Square Garden and blew out the Knicks, basically, 109-94. Walt Frazier, who called tonight's action on Madison Square Garden Radio, joins me right now. And let me tell you a couple of statements that Pat Riley made in the coaches' conference and get your reaction.
About me?
No, about the ball club.
Oh, okay.
Number one was out of sync.
Very profound. You know why, though? They were out of sync, folks, because the Knicks would not shoot the perimeter shots, so they created gridlock inside, smothered Ewing, and that was the difference in the game.
He said the ball club came up real flat.
on the defense. They did not press and trap and zap, and they got very few baskets in transition.
This ball club needs to take the word I out of their vocabulary.
Well, I didn't really see the selfishness. Only one thing I saw, I thought John Starks was looking to score too much tonight. He was seeking his points, and it didn't happen. He was only 6 for 18.
And Coach Riley also called this a mental loss.
Right, because now they play one tomorrow night, and before you can get over this, you're back into another one in a place they haven't won since you were a kid, Bruce.
Oh,
I mean,
come on,
it's been a long time, so the schedule is really toughening now for the Knicks.
You won there. I remember the joy coming off the court in the Boston Garden, yes?
Yeah, and especially in '73, they never lost in a final series, a 7-game series, and we pulled it out there.
I can still see that video with you with your fist raised in the air.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's take a look at some of the early action in this ball game. It was pretty much a story of the Knicks having difficulty handling the ball and the transition game working for the Hawks.
Yeah, Big Apple turnover, something we haven't seen in a long time, vexing the Knicks. But Martin Wiley, an excellent defensive player there with deft hands, coming up with the loot from Jackson. So he cruises in for the layup.
And throughout the evening, they made the buckets in the transition game.
Yeah, the Knicks made a good run, but the Hawks, I thought, was very composed, which is uncharacteristic for them. There again, the quick hands, Ogman, another excellent defensive player. So watch this move and groove. He's a southpaw, so duping and hooping on that play as well.
What'd you think of Ogman?
Well, he can't shoot. He's not a good perimeter shooter, but a tenacious defensive guy, a good team player, and he also hurt the Knicks posting inside. He's 6'8". Gerald could not handle him, as well as John Starks.
Quick question, why do a lot of young players, why are they unable to shoot?
Because today they're more interested in shooting from downtown and working on their stuff shots. So no one is excited about taking a regular 2-point shot.
Clive, we got a lot of negative news tonight on Larry Bird saying that his career might be in jeopardy, that the back injury may be more serious than expected, and that Bird, if he has to have surgery again, will call it a career. Your thoughts to those...
Well, I agree with that. If he had to face another surgery, if I were Larry, I would not take it either. And hopefully this isn't true, that he can come back. The NBA can ill afford to lose Larry Bird. We've already lost Magic, and now if you lose Larry Bird, there would definitely be a kink in the armor of the NBA.
Walt Clyde Frazier, as always, joins us in the pregame and postgame show. Go and have a good evening.
Nice working with you, Bruce.
Nice to have you with us. We'll take a short break. More of our postgame show from Madison Square Garden. We'll be back with Sports Desk and the Bullet Bob Page in just a moment. Walt Clyde Frazier talked about the poor shooting by John Starks. Here's a look at the bench field goal shooting. This call to the bench brought to you from the New York Telephone Regional Calling Area. It's bigger than you think. The Hawks had a lot of productivity from the bench. Dwayne Farrell made 5 for 6 in this ball game. Snoop Graham shot 5 for 8. The Knicks 42%, just 13 of 31 from the field. So the poor shooting carried through not only from the starting group, but also from the bench group. And now for the New York Knicks, what lies ahead is 8 of 11 on the road, including tomorrow night at the Boston Garden. Right now, let's check in at the MSG Sports Desk with the Bullet, Bob Page.
All right, Bruce, thanks. And in college basketball tonight, another impressive showing from unbeaten Connecticut. The Huskies improved to 11-0 on the year by spanking St. John's 85-76 at Storrs, a game we had live for you over our MSG2 service. So Louis and the Redmen are now 8-3, 2-1 in the Big East. The big story in this one, off a St. John's miss, watch the Huskies come out on the break. You'll see Chris Smith with a nice underhand scoop for 2 of his new career high, 37 points. He had a career high 33 at Illinois on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Seton Hall Pirates overcame a sluggish first half at the Meadowlands Arena, and they thumped Miami of Florida 64-52. The Hall now 2-1 in the Big East. Other local college basketball results will stay in Jersey. Rutgers, yes, that's correct, blown out at home by Temple, 75-61 in the Atlantic 10. Cornell of the Ivy League, a non-conference game, lost at Vermont 78-65. St. Peter's got a tip in from Scott Whedon at the buzzer to win their 4th straight game, this time a 2-point verdict at home over Canisius. Also in the MAC, Siena wins at Northeastern 70-64. Now in the Northeast Conference, Robert Morris wins on the road at Fairleigh Dickinson by 4. Monmouth defeated Mount St. Mary's 74-63. It was LIU losing at St. Francis of New York, and Marist drubbed St. Francis, Pennsylvania 79-63. In the NBA, relatively light schedule tonight. We begin with the Washington Bullets in the Atlantic Division playing their game at Chicago against the Bulls. Michael Jordan and company lead it by 11 in the third. Now, Cleveland's on top of Minnesota by 13. The Cavs have won 8 straight games, and coming into tonight, they were just 4 back of Chicago in that NBA Central Division. The Dallas Mavericks trying to avoid a 5th straight loss, but they trail the Lakers by 16 at home tonight. Seattle, Denver is at halftime with the Sonics winning by 10, and hapless, lowly, horrendous Orlando has lost 16 straight. They will definitely make it 17 tonight at Portland. The 76ers today introduced former Iona star Jeff Ruland to the media a day after he signed a free agent contract. Ruland's missed 5 years following major knee surgery.
It's not like I'm ancient. I just turned 33. I'm in probably better shape now than when I was only 27, so, you know, if I was 39 or 40, then it'd be a different story, but like I said, it's only 20 minutes a game. It's not 40 or 45. So when I came into the league, people told me I'd be lucky if I was a backup center, so once again, we'll prove them wrong.
When we return, something that may surprise you from tonight's Baseball Hall of Fame balloting. Stay tuned. I'll have that story right after these messages.
15 overall, tied for 3rd place in the Central Division. They beat the Knicks tonight. Here's the premiere of the fast break of the game, brought to you by Midas. For breaks done right, remember, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. Now let's take a look at the action. The Knicks taking the shot to the outside, and once again, the battle for the rebound. Hawks come down with it. Rasmussen to Dominique, and there it is. It's a 2-on-none. He reverse slams it home for 2 of his 24 points in the ball game. Don't forget, tomorrow night, the Knicks take on the Boston Celtics. You can see the action on MSG2 at 7:30 p.m. And calling the action tomorrow night, Al Trotwick and John Andres. Let's check in with the duo right now.
All right, Bruce, let's pick it up with that thought and that promo for tomorrow night against Boston. The Knicks with a bad game tonight, but the real life in the NBA, John, is that the Knicks and all the teams live in a comparative world. And when you compare, at least in the Atlantic Division, things aren't as bad as it may seem for a team that really has been a bit lethargic for the better part of 3 weeks now.
Yeah, the sky didn't fall in tonight on the Knicks. They played a poor game, but I think it's one of those because of tomorrow night and what lies ahead Saturday as well here at the Garden with the Celtics again. The Knicks have opportunity to get themselves righted, so to speak. There's really no team in the Atlantic Division right now playing better ball than the Knicks. The Celtics have their problems. The Sixers have reached out for Jeff Ruland to get some help. Miami, a big surprise, is hanging tough. But there are problems all over the division, so the Knicks are in very good shape. They have played excellent basketball. Tonight they had a bad one, but as Pat Riley aptly pointed out, you've got to give the Atlanta Hawks credit. They played an excellent game tonight, and they were challenged, and they answered the call.
I think it's worth recapping. You know, the Boston Celtics in Boston papers and in New York today, Dave Gavitt saying that it doesn't seem that bad for Larry Bird, that his absence from the team will be about 4 games, including tomorrow night. Your sources, our sources, seem to point otherwise.
Yes, it appears Larry Bird, again from our sources in Boston, is injured more severely than indicated, and that was stated today in the Boston papers. He could be out for 1 to 2 months, and Larry has expressed to someone up there that if he should have to have another operation, he would retire as opposed to going through that again. Naturally, we hope that this is not accurate and that this sequence of events doesn't occur.
As stated earlier, we'll try to get more information on the Larry Bird situation when we visit Boston tomorrow. Certainly hope you'll join us on MSG2 beginning at 7:30. Let's go back to Bruce Beck.
Thank you, gentlemen. And seriously, as basketball fans, we certainly hope that Larry Bird is healthy in the near future. We'll be back with Michael Kay in just a moment. We're joined now by our post-game reporter, Michael Kay. And, Michael, what was the reaction from the locker rooms?
Well, the Knicks were very disappointed. They pretty much said it was probably the worst game they've played all year. The only one that compares is the game in San Antonio. But they're disappointed because this one was in the Garden in front of their home fans. They played very poorly, and they realize it.
One game certainly does not make a season, but you've got to give some credit to the Atlanta Hawks for superior defense.
They came in here with a game plan. They said, we've got to cut off Ewing from in the paint. So what they did was they cut him off, they sloughed everybody down towards Ewing, and they dared the Knicks to knock down some jump shots. Knicks didn't do it, not because the Knicks played terribly, but the fact that the Hawks had a hand in the face all the time. They played great defense. Let's give them some credit, but also let's not leave the Knicks without any fault because they played flat. I think they were looking ahead to Boston, and they could be in for a trap tomorrow too, Bruce, because they know Bird's out, they know McHale's out, they know D. Brown's out, but they have to remember it's the Celtics in Boston Garden, and it's not going to be easy.
But knowing the character of this ball club thus far in the season and their ability to bounce back, remember they lost in Boston, came back to beat Atlanta in Atlanta. What do you expect tomorrow?
I think they're going to come out and play well. I don't think Pat Riley is going to have it any other way. I also think that today's performance could be explained a little bit by the fact that they played one of the most exciting games of the season against the Suns, and it had to be a letdown. It's only natural. Nobody likes to admit that because they're professionals and they're supposed to come out and play hard every night. Tonight they didn't. And when a coach admits that his team did not play hard, you know they must have even played worse than that.
Quick question, 10 seconds or less. Was this a tired ball club tonight?
I don't know if they were tired physically. I think they were tired mentally, and it showed.
All right, Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bruce.
So the New York Knicks losing tonight to the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks winning 5 in a row now. Dominique Wilkins leading the attack. The Knicks did not play well. The coach said so. They look to rebound tomorrow against the Boston Celtics. You'll see the action tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. on MSG2 with Al Trotwig and John Andres. Coming up next, Sports Forum with Xavier McDaniel.